All right, y'all, it's James, the Quantum Mechanic. Often imitated, but never really duplicated. This right here, the multi-position ratchet from Snapon. This is the FHC 72 MP. This is supposed to be an orange-handled ratchet, but you know how I feel about cleaning tools. Anyway, this thing is absolutely fantastic. Now, Harbor Freight makes one, and some other companies make something similar to this, where basically the head kind of rotates around like this. It's supposed to help you clear obstructions. And, you know, I was kind of late to the game on this. I had an old Harbor Freight one forever ago, and it just was too clunky and big, and the action wasn't smooth, and it just, you know, I just didn't like it. Even though they're only, what, 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that. This was about $200. You guys tell me if you think it was worth it. But this thing has been fantastic. This is basically a 1/4-inch body with a 3/8 head. You see that? And the great thing about this tool is that it really does get into those tight spaces. I mean, I only keep a handful of ratchets on the van. Mostly these are the 3/8 ones I like to keep. You know, a long handled, a shorter handled, a fixed, and then a long handled flex as well. Anyway, and then this guy right here, this is another one I've talked about in the past. But this one, it really does fit a lot of my needs. I'll tell you, this has saved me countless hours doing jobs already in just the last couple months that I've had it. And it's really that multi-position there, that like, let's say there's something in the way here. You know, let's say you have something in the way, you want to get around it, and you can't really fit like a stubby ratchet in there, and you can't really fit something like this in there because there's a firewall or a fender well or something in the way, and you can't go over it, right, like with an extension to get straight on to it because there's not enough clearance. And really the only way to get to this like bolt, this mythical bolt that's on the backside here, is to like remove whatever obstruction you're trying to clear. Now, the problem with removing obstructions, and if the book tells you to remove it, obviously that's the right answer, but the problem with removing obstructions, especially on older cars, is it could break on you. You know, if you were to remove an obstruction and it breaks on you when you go to put it back or while you're removing it, well, now you look silly, and now that part has to get replaced. And if you pass those expenses onto the customer, well, now that kind of makes you look a certain kind of way. So anyway, I do what I can to minimize removing obstructions whenever I can. That's what helps me kind of beat a lot of the clock time as well. And that's another great thing about not removing obstructions, is beating clock time. And because that's what I charge. I charge by the book. So anyway, something like this is really good to just get in there and just clear, you know, the area. Now, I guess you could use like a crow's foot, but I'm not a huge fan of using crow's feet. And crow's feet, if they don't slip off on you, they're just not always the like perfect or right angle. So this right here is really good. Something like this to just clear those obstructions that you're having, you know. And then another cool thing, it does this kind of like running in place kind of deal here, which is really nice. Adds to the functionality. If you want, if you can't quite fit a electric ratchet in there, something like this inside a ratchet, if you can't really fit an electric ratchet in there, then having something that you can just spin around like that to really save yourself some time can do you well. But yeah, overall, I would highly recommend it if you're in the business, not if you're a do-it-yourselfer. You know, if you're an automotive technician or a beginning technician or something like that, this will do you well. I've also used this for oil changes, you know, because I do it on the ground. So if I don't have the vertical clearance and I can turn it, you know, just ever so slightly to give me that clearance that I need, it's a little bit different and a little bit better than, you know, turning the handle like this, because then it's this right here, when you lock it in place like that, you know, if I'm pulling here, it throws off the axis. You know, the best chance and the most leverage you get is when the drive tool is 90 degrees to the turning tool, to give you as much kind of turning force as you can possibly get. It also kind of prevents you from rounding off the tool. So this right here lets you do that. It lets you get 90 degrees kind of no matter what position this is in, right? So that 90 degrees right there, that's what you want when you're trying to break stuff loose and kind of prevent from rounding it off or slipping off and hitting something else. So anyway, this is really good to kind of effectively shorten the length, so to speak, without really shortening the length on it, right? So anyway, just a really wonderful tool. Some cool little details here. is, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's little ball detents there. Let me get a screwdriver for you to show you. Those little ball detents right up in there. Those ball detents are what locks it into place on the handle. See that? Just right there. So that is decent because there's no real moving parts. I'm sure there's like a spring loaded. They're opposing to each other. Maybe there's a spring in there that kind of pushes them apart. But by and far, there's really no complications to this mechanism. It's really simple. It's really straightforward. It locks into place kind of nicely. The Harbor Freight one has like this weird kind of locking mechanism, and it's just big and bulky, like I said. So this is nice and small. So yeah, highly recommend it. Great tool. So tell me what you guys think. Let me know if you use one of these. I did a short on this a while back, and y'all seem to really enjoy that short. So figured I'd make a long form video. Yeah, let me know what you guys use this tool for. If you have this tool, if you even think it's worth it. If the Harbor Freight one does you just well enough, then that's fine. But as a professional mechanic, I would say this is the tool that you're going to want to add to your toolbox. And I like that it kind of fits right there in my little tray too. So, all right, guys, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys for watching. Have a great day.